Welcome back to the Scared Stiff Podcast. I'm your host, Mike. This is my co-host, Scott. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing.
You're doing.
Got my second trip to the vaccination station.
Yeah.
And now I'm feeling the after effects about a day later.
Well, I'll get them tomorrow.
Yeah, you just got yours today, so.
Yep.
I know today's going to be maybe not, upsetting, but it's definitely going to be different. I'm fucking so woozy.
I bet.
Yeah. Well, I had 100 for fucking fever today, but now I'm gonna be in front of a goddamn lit lamp. I'm gonna be on fire by the end of this.
Yeah, even when I left the doctor's office when I was driving home, I felt lightheaded.
Oh, yours was in a
After the
doctor's
shot.
office?
Oh, not doctor's office. Fucking Walgreens. What am I talking about? Yeah. So, even then, I felt lightheaded. I still feel lightheaded.
Yeah.
Hoping that's the worst of it.
Well, at least we watched the movie before this happened.
Yeah. I watched it yesterday.
So today's movie we're talking about is Monster Squad. It's the big come together of the Universal monsters in the 80s for a film that very much rips off Goonies, but does its own thing in a weird way. And I was looking at stuff about it yesterday, and it was a fucking bomb.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
It didn't make shit for money, and it really sucks because it's so much fun.
Oh, I had a blast watching this.
I have seen it before. I've gone through a long journey to get this movie on DVD, but this is Mike's first time seeing it.
Yeah, I purchased it digitally, I think a year ago to watch it. I was going to watch it during our October marathon. Well, I was doing the October marathon. You weren't really doing as much as this past year.
Yeah.
But I wanted to watch it during that, but I was moving, didn't have access to internet for a while, so I didn't get to stream it. I'm really, really happy that we're ending off this series on this because it's not exactly the Avengers that you'd think it would be. It's better. Yeah, no. But it's definitely the Goonies comparisons are apt. It's definitely Goonies material, a little bit less or so. But I was actually surprised when I was watching this. The credits came up, and I found out that Shane Black co-wrote it.
He wrote it. Yeah.
It's so fucking weird that he wrote a kids movie, essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a PG movie or whatever from back in the day.
Yeah.
So it's it's a kids movie. The way that Goonies has some screwed up shit in it too. So,
yeah.
But I was surprised because when I think of Shane Black, the first thing I think of is really hard movies that are not for kids, like Last Boy Scout or friggin'
Predator.
The Predator, the new one.
Because he wrote the first Predator.
He didn't. He was supposed to come in to do rewrites on it, and I don't think he actually did them.
Yeah. Because I know that's why he got cast, because he wasn't initially going to be in the film, but they brought him on to do that, and it's like, oh, you're kind of fucking funny. Get in here.
Yeah, I don't think he actually wound up doing those rewrites, but he did a lot of stuff during the 80s and 90s.
I think he does, well, because his character wasn't in the film, all of his lines are ad-libbed, though.
Yeah, they just stuck him in there. I mean, it works out great, so.
Yeah.
But
I was going to say one of the lines, and I really can't say it.
Yeah,
but
no.
There's a lot of lines in this film, too, though. There's a lot of things you can't say, but...
I was going to say, speaking of lines you really can't say, literally the first 5 or 10 minutes of the movie had me gasping.
I gotta say, I hate bully scenes in a lot of films because they're, so fucking dumb, and you know it doesn't happen, but the bully scene in this movie is so fucking funny. I love it so much, word on the street is, why is fat kid so fat, huh? Derek over here, this is why fat kid is so fat. Huh, fat kid, why are you fat? And he's like, my name's Horace. Not gonna settle it, fat kid. And it's just these kids, they've practiced their shtick. They're good at bullying at this point. They're top quality bullies.
I'm so glad that they've maximized out their skill tree for bullying.
You gotta be good at something.
I guess so. There ain't gonna be much else than that. No, I was surprised. I mean, I shouldn't have been surprised because I texted you literally right after the first 10 minutes of the movie. I said, wow, holy crap. There's a lot of usage of homophobic related things in this. And I'm like, yeah, it's the 80s. It's just I was not expecting it.
It's weird.
It's weird because it's coming out of kids. It's also weird coming out of kids' mouths.
Yeah. I mean, it makes the most sense, though. If someone's going to be fucking rude or use a homophobic slur, it's probably going to be a kid who doesn't understand the weight of his words.
Yeah. But speaking of that bullying scene, the way that it finishes had me dying.
Yeah, I love it.
It's so good.
My favorite critique of the movie, though, is one of the kids who joins up with the Monster Squad is clearly like a 13 to 16-year-old named Rudy, and everyone
Yeah,
always
I
asks
love
like,
Ruby.
why the fuck does he hang out with them? And it's like, yeah, like really why? But it's just who cares? It's fun.
Because they all like monsters.
Yeah, sure.
So
He likes staring at women.
yeah,
That's your
I mean,
sister?
that shit made me laugh so hard. That's like that's pretty much this whole movie. There's so much of this movie that's just really funny.
Yeah, a lot
Some
of
it's a
good
lot of it's not.
one-liners.
A lot of it hasn't aged particularly well, especially for modern sensibilities. But some of it's still really fucking funny. Like
Yeah.
I love when they grab his sister. The whole fucking blackmailing scene. I'm just like, wow, that's
Yeah.
woo, that's messed
See,
up.
that's funny because I always remember like Mandela effect about how things go in the movie. I thought he ends up with the sister at the end, and it's very clearly not that.
Yeah, there's kind of like a shot where they kind of like hint at it, and then they're like, nah.
So I looked it up though. There was a deleted scene where I think it might be in like a TNT like TV show version of the movie when they like upload it or
TV
whatever.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's supposed to have like them like going for a big hug, and she like pushes him off, tells him that he's gross or whatever.
Oh, I wish that was in the movie. That's
Because
funny.
it does make sense. I mean, he
Yeah,
blackmailed her with the nude
if he got,
photo of
I
her.
was saying
Like,
if he
it's
got
really not
together,
cool.
like yeah, if they got together at the end, I honestly would be kind of mad because that's really fucked up.
It is fucked up. I just really like Rudy so much, and it's fucked up. But at the
He's such
same time, you know, he did shoot a fucking snake with a goddamn bow and arrow, which wouldn't happen because the wood's way too heavy. But okay.
two of them.
Well, he shot one.
I thought he shot two of them, and then the
He
last one he
shot
stabbed.
one. The other girl got way too close and fucking.
Also, a surprising amount of blood in this movie.
Yeah, I also really like. I'd say it sounds weird, but the performance of Frankenstein's monster is better than a lot.
Oh,
of them.
Tom Noonan, yeah, he's really good.
He's so good.
He's in. I'm surprised by the amount of things that I've seen with him in it, and not knowing it. He plays the serial killer in Manhunter, the better version of Red Dragon. He's awesome in that. He's also in the movie I was showing you before the show, the Blu-rays I have. He's also in House of the Devil.
Yeah,
he's one of the bad guys in House of the Devil. So he's in a lot of stuff that I've seen. Beyond that,
it's funny. The guy who plays a werewolf too is also a werewolf in another film, I believe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of it, but it's like a more lesser known cult film.
Yeah, I'm surprised because when the credits were playing, the name Stan Winston came up.
Yeah, he does all the designs for it.
Yeah,
the werewolf design face was done over Stan Winston. Like it's meant to resemble him.
I could tell.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I noticed when he popped on screen. I'm like, that really looks like Stan Winston. That's really weird.
The creature design, the guy who plays the creature is I believe one of the guys in the makeup department or the suit department. He's like, I want to be the guy who plays creature, and they're like, all right, sure.
Why not? Yeah, the creature himself, I found it funny. He looks even more like a fish.
So
he's like a guppy.
I wanted to talk about the designs, but we're going to talk about Creature first because we brought it up right now. This is what Creature from the Black Lagoon looks like in the Universal version, right? So they can't call him Creature from the Black Lagoon because it's copyrighted. This movie's not done by Universal, but all these other characters are public domain, so they call him Gillman. There's one line where, you know, the kid loses his Twinkie and the creature pops up and goes, "Creature stole my Twinkie."
Yeah.
But he's not called Creature from the Black Lagoon. They can get away with that. But
be a mouthful for a line anyways for a kid.
Yeah, but it'd be great. But this is what he does look like.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny about this?
Wait. Do they have do you have like a line of figures for Monster Squad and you got the creature for it?
So that's what I'm getting at. They don't have a line of figures for Monster Squad. I got this from Universal.
What the fuck?
And they clearly used the design from Monster Squad for this figure line. It's
weird.
Because I saw it, I'm like, that's a creature figure, but that's definitely from the Monster Squad movie. So
Does the Wolfman look like the one from Monster Squad too?
I don't know. I just saw this. I was like, that's the only way to get a creature from Monster Squad, so I'll get it. And I just thought it was funny because it says Universal Monsters, and it's like, hey, buddy, you got the wrong guy.
That's crazy. I
guess they're not in trouble for it, but it's clearly the wrong creature.
You know, this movie is made by TriStar and also it's owned by Paramount.
Yeah.
which makes it's really interesting to see that. I mean, they can't call. I mean, they do call the werewolf Wolfman,
Though
but
you can
that's fine.
call. Well, they talk
Dracula's
about the
public domain.
Wolfman. Yeah. Well, I mean, they say Wolfman's got nards.
Yeah, so
Maybe it's different because they don't call him the Wolfman.
yeah, I think I probably wager that's probably it. I
Or
mean, what do
maybe it's
you?
just the fact that like they're just generally saying that statement and they're not saying this is the Wolfman or something. I
Yeah,
don't know. But Dracula and Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster, those are all public
they're public
domain
domain.
names. Yeah.
Mummy is a mummy. Like you can't copyright that
Yeah, and Creature, like I said, they don't say Creature from the Black Lagoon. They just call him Creature one time and he's billed on the
as
credits
Gilman.
as Gilman.
Yeah,
A lot of loopholes to this shit.
I'll say like I like all the designs pretty much.
I like all
The
but one.
the most dull one is Dracula. But
I
he's just more classical, I guess.
He's the only design that is based on like the classic really.
Yeah.
I don't like the mummy, not the mummy. I don't like the Wolfman design. I think he looks cheap on screen sometimes, and I think it looks weird compared to some of the other. Some of the effects, like with his mouth moving, are great, but
Yeah, the animatronic.
I think sometimes like the actual like face sculpt just does look very cheap.
For me, it's not even it looks cheap. It's just it's distracting how much it looks like Stan Winston to me.
I can understand that.
So, uh, Mummy looked pretty good.
He looks really good. You could say
I,
he's probably. I think the Gilman's the best design, but the Mummy's got a great design.
I really appreciated the sequence with the in the car where they tie his little thing and shoots an arrow to the tree and it pulls his fucking body apart.
The effect
That was a really
good.
solid effect. Yeah,
It looks
I was
so
impressed by
good.
that. Generally speaking, I was impressed by the effects. There's some stuff like obviously like the
The
portal
whirlwind thing, yeah.
is gonna look a little dated.
It looks dated at the beginning,
It's
but
not
I'd
bad.
say
It's
like
not
after a
terrible.
bit, you kind of just say whatever to
You
it.
just acclimate to it. I mean, it's.
Get used
I
to it.
doubt this movie. I mean, I could really look it up, but I don't think that this is like a super duper mega budget film.
12,
So
12 million.
I mean, back then that's not nothing. But
Uh, I mean, if you gave it 12 million then in the 80s, it's probably around the price of how much Curse of Frankenstein is.
they don't try anything like that though.
I think it's funny. I think the square, like the town square, is very reminiscent of Back to the Future too.
I was thinking the same exact thing when I was watching. I'm like, this has to be the same set.
It does.
It
That's
has
what
to
I
be.
feel like. I'm watching and I'm like, this is just like so reminiscent of Back to the Future in that scene.
It has to be. Honestly, I when I was looking
Because I
at
think
like
they're
it.
both filmed in California.
Oh yeah. I mean, they show like when the kids are walking down the street. I swear to God, it's on this like it's in Pasadena.
Yeah.
Because I was getting like not that the scene itself was, but just visually I was getting Halloween vibes. Like I was seeing like I was like, oh, this looks like somewhere they probably could have shot that, or even like Teen Wolf has similar environments. But yeah, it's definitely shot in California.
I think
I
their clubhouse is sick too.
it is cool.
If I was a kid and I had that clubhouse, I'd go fucking bonkers.
Bro, I was just like looking around the cabin and just picking out things I recognized. It was really fun. It's like
The
it was a
big
horror.
poster.
It was a horror fan's delight.
The big poster they show is Vampire
Zombie.
Circus.
They have zombie too.
They do have zombie,
Lucio,
yeah.
Lucio Fulci zombie. I was
But-
like, yeah, that's fucking sick.
I just thought it was so wild because like when I first watched the movie, I'd never seen that film. And when I watched it the second time, I'm just in bed at night. I'm like, that's Vampire Circus.
I was there. It was my reaction to zombie in the background was, wow. I'm just assuming that because that poster's in the background, they probably saw that movie. Got some bad parents, okay, but
Dude, I
zombies,
love that dad
zombies
character.
fucked. Like zombies really fucked
Yeah.
for a kid to watch. Even for me, a grown ass man, that movie made me fucking scream once. And people who've seen Lucio Fulci's Zombies know exactly what scene I'm talking about, the Splinter scene. But you know, I really like the family character in general, like both like the mom and dad.
They're very real.
I really just wish, and this is kind of indicative of the rest of the movie. I wish this movie was a bit longer,
Yeah.
just so we can get a little bit more time with the family, because they really do like build up this idea like there's a problem at home because his dad's a police officer and he's always going off to do his thing. I just wish we had a little bit more time. I'd be lying though if the end didn't get me though. So I was kind of swept up in the heart of the moment at the end. So
I really
Either way, it worked out.
appreciate the dad's relationship with the son because I feel like most of the time in movies, that stuff really does become boring or just lackluster.
Yeah.
But you really love how much how much he cares about his kids. Like,
Yeah.
it's so prominent. He's a good dad.
I just like the scene where it cuts to him coming out on the roof with the Burger King,
That's awesome.
and they're watching the horror movie, and they're like, she's like, "Yo, this is the best part," and someone fucking dies.
Yeah. He takes a sip of his son's soda too, which is so funny. He gives him a
And
burger.
with his fucking the binoculars on, they're watching the drive-in from their house. I wish I had a drive-in that close to my fucking house. I like their little dynamic. Again, like I just wish we had more time with it. I like all the characters.
I think all the dynamics are great. I don't think the Eugene kid acts like he doesn't add a whole lot to the film. He's just there for like comedic scenes most of the time, like "Mummy in my closet" or like "Creature stole my Twinkie." I like his dog more than him, but most of the time
I agree.
Like,
he's kind of just there sometimes.
They have the scene where he's going to sleep, and then in 2 scenes he's in the clubhouse. Like, how the fuck did you sneak out? Like, this is clearly supposed to be at nighttime, and you were just put to bed, and you're fucking 5. Also, you're 5. Why are you in a monster club, dude?
It's the 80s.
That's weird.
They want a little kid.
Which one to use, Eugene?
That shit was funny. I was sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, I mean, it's a ridiculous movie. It's not something to be like dissected and taken seriously.
Yeah, you have to 100%.
I was sitting there looking at me like, the army showed up.
Yeah, I love that.
For some dumbass kid's crayon note.
Yeah.
Saying there's monsters, bro. Really?
I
mean, it's cool at the end when they get to come up and be like, yeah, we're the monster squad. And be like, fuck yeah, bro. But why the fuck did the military show up? They must have really just nothing to do.
Yeah.
They were just bored. So they just showed up.
I think that's one thing that you have to say about the movie in general is that it's fucking dumb. Like, things happen and
that don't make sense.
You don't get explanations. It doesn't make sense. And you're like, okay, I guess I'm just rolling with it. But the movie's just supposed to be stupid and fun. And if you just kind of go with that, you're going to have a great time. If you sit there and you're like, oh, well, why does this happen and this happen? It's like, hey, I know I do that with some movies, but that's because they're trying to be more, so it pisses me off.
Yeah.
But this is not trying to be more. You have Dracula holding up a 4-year-old saying, you bitch. So if I'm going to get that in a movie, I know what to expect.
That and Dracula running around with dynamite.
That's fucking hilarious. I love that so much.
He's so threatened by the monster squad that he fucking bombs
bomber after bomber.
He just
how funny is that though? Like,
he rolls up to their house and just bombs their clubhouse. Like,
it's like, oh, what are vampires known for? They bite things. They can turn into vampires. Like, well, what's this monster's main weapon? Dynamite. Just fucking dynamite. Like, I love the fact he comes in like a fucking like a drive by. He's like, yeah, dude, fuck this kid. He fucking just launches it into his house, or not the house. He launches it into the fucking clubhouse.
Or like how he picks up the fucking little girl and holds her up and says, give me the amulet. When he could just like take it from the fucking child that couldn't fight back.
There's another funny thing I saw, I was looking it up, is that the guy who plays Dracula said that he wouldn't wear the red contacts and fangs during that scene because he didn't want to scare the little girl too much because she hated it.
Aww.
And I was like, that's really nice. I like
Sweet
that.
guy. Yeah, no, like this isn't some kind of fucking meditation on the human condition. The movie's called fucking Monster Squad, my guy. Like it's not, it ain't Shakespeare. No. It's there to be an entertaining adventure film, and it is exactly that.
You do get a Shakespearean death in the end.
Yeah.
My girlfriend cried when that happened.
Oh yeah.
She like really liked the character. She goes, no, and I'm like, oh, it's fucking it's a giant monster. They do him really. I think they do the Frankenstein's monster so well in this movie, though.
Yeah, I mean, like
Scary.
They're not dead, because I mean, like, hey, Van Helsing came back and fucking snagged
with the thumbs up too.
Dracula. He gave him a thumbs up. I'm like, what the fuck era are you from?
One thing my girlfriend asked is that that happened. She goes, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, "What's up?" She's like, "How did Dracula learn to drive a car?" And I was like, you know what? You're right.
Well, they demonstrate that he's been around still since all that stuff went down. So it's not exactly that.
I said that too, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna assume that." I'm like, you just gotta assume everything in this movie at this point.
It's suspension of disbelief, I guess. I don't know.
I also
why does his hearse drive through things? Why is it non-corporeal sometimes.
Badass.
Who fucking cares?
I also hate the only like supporting character that dies is the Black Lieutenant
Yeah, and also
because
like the
he's
cop,
great.
his partner, the dad doesn't seem that broken up about it.
Yeah, I
Really
hate
sad
that.
because
I
that
like
black
him a
the
lot too.
he's really funny.
Yeah, he's like, you know what? Because I'm a really good cop. And I'm just
A
like,
really good cop, didn't you
he
know?
is a really good cop. He's
I
like,
like
you
him a
know, I know
lot.
that I'm a really good cop. And I'm like, well, I'm not gonna disagree with the man. I'll get arrested.
Blows up car. You were a really good cop.
Yeah.
I like that character a lot. I wish he either didn't die or at least the dad like seemed to care.
Yeah. I wish he didn't die because it doesn't gain anything.
To be fair, he's more focused on saving his children, but
Yeah. I just really like him.
yeah, he's entertaining as hell.
Yeah.
The whole like him talking to the security
Yeah.
guard at the
Yeah.
fucking museum, dude.
You're telling me someone came in here and stole that mummy? No, I would have seen him. You would have seen him.
You told me I would have heard him. You would have heard him. Oh, okay.
So fucking funny. Obviously, as you can tell in this review, we're not gonna be focusing on like, oh, the beginning, middle, end. We're just gonna be jumping from shit to shit because it's just so much fun.
It's an hour and 20 minute
Also,
long
I have
film.
brain rot right now, so like I can't comprehend anything that is supposed to function. Also, I'm having a fucking like heat tremor because it's so hot to myself.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's really not like anything to really delve into with this movie. It's just fun. Like, there's nothing like I can't sit here and make any kind of fucking I can't wax metaphorical about this movie. Like,
there is one scene that's pretty deep that I think is really well done. Is when they have the German guy who's he's clearly supposed to be Nosferatu.
I know what you're talking about.
He's supposed to be like Max Schreck because he looks like him. Talks about vampires. But he goes, hey, man, like, hey, old man, you certainly know a lot about monsters. And he goes, I suppose I do. And he shuts the door and he has the numbers of, like, Nazi internment camps.
Yeah, that moment, like, had me, I actually gasped.
That's really fucking well done.
I was like, wow. Also, I love that character.
He's great.
He's such a sweet old man.
I love how he actually says Nosferatu on the screen, too.
Yeah, I thought like he's scary German guy. They're all scared to go to his house. He's poking his head out. He's looking through the window.
I love that.
Also, maybe did I miss it? Why the fuck did the kid get Van Helsing's book? Who sent it to him?
He didn't get sent it. The dad found it.
Oh, okay.
Because he's like a cop, and I guess you can just give evidence to your son.
Apparently, I was sitting there looking. I'm like, why did he get it? And also,
my big question:
how does Dracula know?
Like, my big question is that it's like, oh, this book's in German. I'm like, you're telling me that this event either happened in Germany or I would presume Romania, but this shit is buried in California, and everything's taking place in California. Why is it all in California?
No, because they fly the caskets and everything in.
They fly the caskets, but not the amulet.
Yeah, no, I don't know what's up with that part.
You really have to just say like, all right, man, I guess somebody just took the amulet and fucking hid it in California.
Yeah, I don't remember them explaining
that. And then they fucking
that.
threw the book somewhere in California.
Yeah, I don't remember how they explained that. If they did it all. So
they don't.
It's just in California for some reason.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Why not? They're having fun.
Also, it happened 100 years ago. It's like, you're telling me in 1884 this shit happened?
Yep. I mean, hey, that explains why they're running around with double barrel shotguns.
Well, yeah, but they've also got like the fucking crossbow with the stake, and it's like, you don't have that in 1884, man. Also, you can't.
To be fair though, what else are they going to use modern society wise? Like, it's not like we have guns that fire wooden bullets.
No, I understand that, but like,
sometimes an oldie's a goodie.
I would say, a crossbow I'm willing to believe, because like the kid does it with an actual bow. You're not doing that. The stake is way too fucking heavy, and it's not. It's not fucking gonna work at all. But also, it wouldn't puncture at all.
But it's 16.
Yeah, it is 16. But with them, it's like, it's 1884, and we've got crossbows. It's like, you have crossbows? And also, they don't say it's 1884 when you first get into the movie. I'm assuming it's the 1400s, and I'm like, where the fuck do you guys get that?
Well, when
fucking Booster Gold hopping with his time machine and drop you off a fucking crossbow stake?
I mean, they've had crossbows for a long time.
Yeah, but that's like a high-tech crossbow, with the way it looks. It's not just like a fucking, like, Oh, it's a wooden shit crossbow.
I didn't look that. It didn't look that sophisticated to me.
I think that looks more sophisticated than
But
happened in 1884.
I don't know. I don't know what they look like back then.
Maybe
I'll
I'm
say
being
like I
judgmental.
definitely knew it wasn't the 1400s when the guy rolled up with a fucking double barrel shotgun.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, that they did. Those definitely didn't exist.
Also, they just fucking yeet the virgin girl too. They don't care. She's like, read the book. I read it. All right, fuck you, bitch.
I also
Poor fucking girl, man.
Speaking of the fucking virgin girl, that at the end was really funny.
I love that scene.
When he's like
Steve doesn't count. Doesn't count.
Doesn't count. It's just like you get to like this world-ending apocalyptic thing, and she's like, it didn't work. He's like, yeah. I thought you were a virgin. Well, let me explain. So they have the kid do it. Yeah. I also love it. Like I think they asked the question, and like, oh, she's a virgin, right? And I'm like,
I love how they say
I fucking
things.
Hope so.
Like, I love how they say about like he's asking his sister if she's a virgin, and it's just like the most like, oh my god, really
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay, we get it.
I mean,
but,
I don't.
And then Rudy goes, "Have you ever been dorked before?" It's like, what are you 10?
I was screaming when that happened. My inner child came out. I was just like, that's the first time I've ever heard it asked that way.
Yeah, it's like, who the fuck would say that? You've been dorked before?
Apparently, Rudy. Like I mean, I could relate to that kid. I wouldn't want to fucking ask my sister that kind of question at that age.
I just the way he says it is just like,
because at that age, he's probably still think girls have cooties. So it's just like, I don't know. I don't even want to think about beyond that.
I also like that kid in the beginning is talking about how all the guys make fun of the teacher saying that she has a misshapen head. He's like, I don't think that at all, but she is quite weird. It's like, okay, yeah, you're not.
And then they bump into her the next second. Yeah. It's like, yeah, she looks fucking weird.
You're saying someone kisses her willingly?
She's married. Yeah. Wait, you tell me that someone said I do to that?
At an altar? Without their restraint? It's like, oh my god, man. He's fucking he's ruthless.
So savage. These kids, man. Because I started watching...
I used to be a kid too, and I thought monsters were cool. But you know what? Maybe I'm just a big kid because I think science is cool.
Oh my god, that fucking principal, dude. Talk about the definition of hello, fellow kids.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Wow, I do gotta say, like some of the responses that those two kids were saying in that scene were pretty fucking funny.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I like them. I like all the fucking kids. Even like I said, the bully characters, they're just so funny. Like, yeah. I have not heard a bully retort that is actually clever in so long.
At the end when fucking Horace shoots the gill man.
Yeah, and they're like, "Good job, fat kid. My name is Horace."
I'm just like, okay, Arnie, let's go.
I love the fact too that the kids ripped up his comic book, but they're hiding out in a comic store. Dicks.
It's like a little in joke.
They ripped up the comic. The comic they ripped up was a Wonder Woman comic. Mm-hmm. By George Perez.
I was looking forward to watching this because I started watching the In Search of Darkness documentary, In Search of Darkness, and one of like the main people that they interviewed for that documentary is the guy who plays the lead in this movie.
Oh, who plays Sean?
Yeah, the lead kid. Yeah, it's him. He's one of the like main people in it. Like he's always in the interviews. I saw him, I'm like, oh yeah, so that's who he plays in this movie. I don't know who's alive from this movie anymore, but
Fat Kid died in 1997.
Oh,
he had pneumonia.
Oh, I love Horace.
It's all fucked up too, because even his friends call him Fat Kid.
Yep.
I love it. Shut up, Fat Kid. Stop. My name's Horace.
They're in the fucking thing and they're like, Fat Kid farted.
Yeah. Guys, this is serious. We got real monsters in here. Mommy in my closet.
Also, I like that scene when the dad comes in to like scare the monsters away.
Yeah.
He opens the door, he goes, ah, and the mummy's just sitting in the background.
Yeah. I also love he's like, you're not sleeping with me and your mother tonight, and the mummy's like reaching out.
And the kid's just like...
That's such a good shot too, though. Like, the way it's lit, the mummy looks so fucking scary.
Yeah, it's awesome. I actually like the beginning of this movie, like the opening credits going through like the castle or whatever. Really like genuinely good ambiance, like good fucking gothic-y kind of visuals. I was actually kind of like impressed. I'm like, oh man, they actually kind of went for it here.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I mean, like I wouldn't call this movie scary. Like this is not like I wouldn't call this a horror movie.
No, not
It's
at
it's
all.
more. It feels a lot more like a kind of like a stand like adventure action movie kind of, especially in the finale. But it being all these monsters, it's like you got to include it.
Yeah.
But you know,
I mean,
I love that finale actually because they brought something interesting up
with the
that I feel
Wolfman
like
stuff.
the Wolfman when they blow him up and he comes back together.
Yeah. I
I
knew
also
you were
I
gonna
want
like that because that's like one of the big jokes in the
the
movie.
one thing I have that cause I was laughing at the beginning when he's like how do you kill what's the two ways to kill a werewolf or whatever. He's like silver bullet. What's the other way? Blow him up. Then they blow him up.
Yeah.
But I was laughing because it's like no silver bullet's the only way. Or at least
Just
most
silver.
interpretations.
Silver in general.
So yeah, silver. Well, people think it's silver bullet, but
Yeah.
yeah, silver in general. That's pretty much what people think of. There's also like Wolfsbane and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
other versions of Wolfman stuff. But I just like I thought that was really funny, especially when you get to the end, because you know, like they make a big deal out of showing Rudy casting silver bullets in shop class.
Yeah, that's my thing.
I'm saying like you're
yo,
telling
their
me that they
teachers
have
are
bullet
pretty
molds.
fucking lenient if he just has like casts for bullets. Like,
They
does
have
his
bullet
dad run
molds.
an ammunition shop? Like,
I have to assume or something. I'm so confused. I'm like, how the fuck did he get? But that's not even the worst part. To me, I was watching that and like, this is whatever. It's suspension of disbelief. It's just whatever. But not only does he cast a bullet, but he gets his hands on a shell casing for that caliber and gunpowder to make a full bullet in case so that it could be fired. And then just he happened to make it in the right caliber for the revolver.
see, I'd say it'd be
It's
fine.
stupid.
It'd be fine if they're just like, oh yeah, man, like, say he had a gun that he took from his dad or something,
Yeah, it made more
but he
sense.
didn't. He stole it from a cop.
Yeah,
It's like, okay, you're lucky, I guess.
if they wanted to make it make a little bit more sense, instead of using a bullet, they should have made a silver tipped arrow
Yeah.
because they make a big deal out of showing Rudy stealing the bow and arrow.
I
But
think it'd be
then
funny
you got to
to make
figure
a
out
joke out of it.
how he casts it and all that stuff. But when they made like a point of saying silver bullet early on for setup and payoff, but it's just like from A to B, I have questions as to how he acquired what he acquired. Like if they set up and said, "Hey, my dad runs an ammunition shop," or "My dad reloads his own bullets" or something, whatever, fine, I got it. That's fine. That works for me. But they don't. He just has one.
I would love if they did like a new version of Monster Squad where they went like crazy with like the fucking ideas and they had like a real fucking like buff ass guy where he fights a wolf man with just silver knuckles instead of like brass knuckles and it's like a fucking all out like bash like dude that'd be fucking so cool like they fall off like a fucking like through glass and a ceiling and they end up in a boxing ring and he just puts on like the silver knuckle. Come on, that'd be fucking fire.
Give me a modern Monster Squad, but with like teenagers to adults, hard R.
It'd be so fucking sick, dude.
Bloody, gory fucking guy beating a werewolf to a bloody pulp
I
in or
want
out
like
of a fighting ring. I don't care.
I want a
but
guy who looks like fucking like the mayor from like fucking Capcom's Final Fight. Where he's just like super fucking top heavy and has a mustache. He looks like your old like 1910 like strongman. That'd be so fucking. Why don't we have that right now?
that'd be
See, that's the thing.
sick.
Like Monster Squad's such a cool idea. You'd think they'd do something like that again. Obviously, it failed,
But it's failed so miserably.
but it's such a cool
But
idea, and you could easily do it.
if they did that movie, I mean, it wouldn't be the same. But like it did this movie like 10, 15 years earlier, they would have had a higher chance of it doing well. It just sucks because the '80s they weren't really
I mean,
dealing
you
with
could
that
say
kind of
they
stuff
did it
anymore.
with Van Helsing, really.
Yeah, later on.
Yeah.
But I mean, like if you really wanted to make one of these smash, I mean, like yeah, Van Helsing did well, but you really want to make the smash. If it was out during like the Hammer days, like the '60s or something, '50s, '60s, it probably would have done really well.
Well,
It wouldn't be the same movie at
this
all.
isn't the first time any of
but-
them have met or anything
No,
because
of course.
they've had House of Dracula and House of Frankenstein.
Yeah,
I don't think either are very good films, to be honest. Though they feel very much like, let's get this in here, this in here. Okay, we have this plot with Dracula. We're gonna end this and then go with the Frankenstein stuff. Okay, that's gonna continue into this. It feels like each character has their arc finished by like 20 minutes, and they go to the next character, and it almost feels like a TV show versus like a movie with the way it's structured. It's weird. I just enjoy how fun Monster Squad is, and I think that should be the way to formulate something and just continue it on. Like, imagine you did something like this, but you ramped up like the fucking action factor, but you also had like heart and endearment, kind of like if it was like It or whatever. Like it'd be
Yeah,
fun. You should
this
do
is
stuff like that. Don't make it like Van Helsing and have fucking two giant CG werewolves or anything. But you know,
this is like one like if I want to like if I'm talking to somebody about the era of the '80s, I'm gonna point at this
yeah,
because like this is super '80s and I love it for it. The cheese factor, the fun like a group of kids with a lot of heart trying to do something that the adults don't believe exists or whatever, try to stop things that adults don't believe exist. It's just super fun. It's really entertaining. It's well directed for the most part. It's well acted. All the kids are really good. Even if like you could probably rip Eugene out.
yeah, I don't like
They're all
Eugene that
good.
much.
I love this fucking movie. This thing was entertaining as shit. I can totally see myself throwing this on again this year
Yes.
when I'm like carving pumpkins in October. I can 100% see myself doing that because it's not a movie that like you have to pay a lot of attention to, but it's got a spooky kind of, even if it's a little bit
It's
more
a great
childish.
ambiance film.
Yeah,
It sets a good mood of having fun and enjoying the festivities.
yeah.
I love this movie.
If it's not a horror film, it definitely feels spooky at times.
Yeah, if it's not a horror film, it definitely feels like it's still being respectful of horror films in general and using those films to set its mood.
Yeah, it feels more like an action celebration
Yeah.
of the monster era of movies, and it's just super entertaining, man. Like it's just
Everything is so much fun.
yeah. I mean, like I could pick out like we nitpicked earlier a lot about certain things like just don't make sense.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, though, like this movie's just trying to entertain you, and honestly, it just succeeds at that.
Yeah, and like I say like I don't think Eugene's character has a whole lot besides one-liners, but I don't
They're
think he's
funny.
bad. I don't love him, but compared to the other characters, he's just not as interesting because he's not really a character. He's just like me in the closet, which is fine. But I
Who's still
rather
my Twinkie?
I'd rather say like some shit doesn't make sense in a movie than saying I don't like this character in a movie, I don't like this happening in a movie, I don't like this plot in the movie, I don't like this side story. Like everything in the film is fun.
Yeah.
I can't even say a single scene I dislike. I'm having fun the entire
Nope.
film. So if I'm having
honestly,
fun, I don't care if it's stupid because it's stupid fun.
I can't think of a moment where I was bored either. Like I was just
No.
entertained consistently, and like yeah, I wish this was a bit longer,
Yeah.
but man, this movie has a fucking good pace to it. It just keeps moving and keeps going to next awesome gags or next really fun action scene. Like it's just a really entertaining movie that like you just the type of adventure film that they just don't make anymore just because they don't do very well. So like this like not exactly, but like I put this like in a situation where like the sense of adventure is like Indiana Jones or The Goonies or movies like that. Whereas like obviously not the same level of quality of filmmaking, but it's really this is a movie that's all about entertaining you.
It's all about the entertainment and it's all about the heart of the characters.
Yeah.
I'd say the closest thing you do get to a film like this nowadays was the first It.
Yeah.
And like that's still a lot more dedicated to a story, but that's the closest thing I can think of to having characters have a fun, adventurous time, but also being scared and trying to evolve.
I think this also reminds me. Doesn't remind me of this. The summer of '84.
Oh yeah, I didn't see that, but I know you're talking about.
Yeah, it reminds like this. It's totally like it's like riffing on this, The Goonies, and the most recent It movie, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think they might have came out the same year. I can't remember, but they're or actually, I should say, riffing on Stranger Things, which is another thing that I would kind of say.
Yeah,
Even my
kind of
limited
forget
watch
about
of
Stranger Things.
yeah, every like even in my limited, I've only seen the first episode of Stranger Things, but even then, I can still see the similarities between something like this and what they're like. They're totally trying to nail down in Stranger Things and the newest It iteration, cross between like Goonies and horror, and that's kind of just what this is. It is Goonies and horror.
Yeah.
I thought this is just a blast. I like this kind of movie. So I liked Summer of '84 too. It's a different movie. It's more like Disturbia meets Goonies,
Mm-hmm.
but or I should say, I guess Rear Window it meets the Goonies, because that's kind of Disturbia. It's just kind of a worse version of Rear Window. But
I love Rear
yeah,
Window.
yeah. No, well, Disturbia is just like a PG-13 serial killer thriller with teenagers. That's pretty much Rear Window.
No, okay.
But yeah, like Summer '84 similar to that, but better. But this I definitely see where like Stranger Things definitely took a lot from this in movies like
Yeah.
this,
Oh, for sure, for sure.
and
I
that's
just tend to
fine.
forget about Stranger Things because I've only seen the first season and like part of the second.
Yeah,
I just kind of dropped off. But no, Stranger Things 100% rips on this, especially with the way a lot of characters interact together.
they have similar archetypes.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
All of
I
these do though.
mean
All of them do.
the character Mike, who is played by Finn Wolfhard, is very much like Sean. He's
Yeah, I mean
very
like
headstrong, boisterous. No.
yeah, I mean like it's also obviously stealing a lot from the Goonies, because like the Goonies has all the same archetypes this does.
I haven't seen
Same.
Goonies in so long.
Yeah, Goonies, Stranger Things has all the same archetypes as Goonies, pretty much. It's just, I don't know what you call this kind of movie. Like it's like kids adventure.
I
I
like
guess
to call it
most
like a
people
kid exploration film. Yeah.
yeah, most people associate this type of movie with the Goonies.
I just
So
like
most
the
people just say it's
idea.
Goonies.
I compare the way characters in Monster Squad, Goonies, Stranger Things, the way they go out on an adventure. It feels like to me like Peter Pan and the Lost Boys. Like
Yeah,
it's just the Lost Boys getting up to hijinks and having fun and just finding the next journey. And I really wish we had more films like this because it's just so much fun.
yeah. I mean, I guess this is just generally the definition of an adventure film, and it's distilled to its smallest parts, especially just because like it really appeals to that childlike sensibility that you have, or even preteen teenagers. That sense of just like you can do whatever you want. You have all the time in the world. You guys are just hanging out doing dumb shit. A lot of people, a lot of kids. I dreamed as a kid that I would run into a situation like this where it's just like me and my buddies doing something crazy that like adults would never understand.
Yeah.
But like it's not real. But
I, I
it's definitely a relatable film. It kind of again, like I think I said earlier, like it really touched the inner child in me.
yeah, I was glad I got to watch it probably like end of high school. I would have loved to see this when I was younger. It would
I
have been
agree.
so fucking special to me.
I think because like I watched the Goonies for the first time when I was like 12.
I watched
That,
Goonies young. I watched Goonies when I was like 7 or 8. 'Cause my
yeah, I
uncle
didn't.
showed it to me.
Yeah, I didn't watch it that young. My family was not like they're very unlike me because I watch movies all the time. I just love watching movies, but like my dad was not a big movie person.
My uncle likes to show a bunch of classics that he loved growing up. So like I
Yeah,
said, he always like be like, "Oh, you should check out this film." And I'd be like, "Yo, dude, leave me the fuck alone." And then he puts it on. I'm like, "Well, you've won again." The Goonies is one of them. It's like one of the first ones he ever showed me.
yeah, this is definitely not the Goonies is definitely not something I was ever shown. I wish that because I watched Goonies in school.
That's kind of cool.
We watched it, I think, on the last day of school in 8th grade for some reason. I don't know why.
It's weird.
It's like that and Avatar. But
Yeah, I remember they put Avatar on the last day of school.
yeah, it's
Fuck
like Avatar.
that.
Avatar
Who's gonna make
'cause
kids
it was
watch
freshly
fucking
out.
Avatar? It's like, oh, this is the film that I was. It's like, First of all, your TV is 13 inches long. I can't fucking see anything
From the
on
back of
it.
the class.
It's from 1983, so whatever the fuck I can see looks distorted.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, we're gonna watch.
It's supposed to be widescreen, so it's cut off because it's a full screen
Yeah,
picture.
we're gonna watch Avatar in the corner of the room on this television. Like, who the fuck's gonna do that? And if you're in like the opposite corner in the back, you're gonna have to break your fucking neck to watch Avatar.
Yeah, it was
Thanks.
broadcasted across the school, and we were all doing it a lot for some fucking
That's
reason.
so fucking dumb.
Well, it's like it had just come out.
What an easy way to make
So
kids hate a movie. What an
yeah, I
easy
did.
fucking way.
After we watched that, I haven't seen Avatar possibly since then.
That put such a bad taste
And I
in
own
my
it.
mouth.
I
And
own
it's
the
like,
movie. And I
oh
have
yeah, we're all gonna watch and like, wow, I never want to see this again now because that was fucking shit.
Yeah.
And like compare it, like, I think it was middle school, 8th grade. They had the 50s day where we all went to the auditorium and watched Grease. I don't know if you partook in it. It happened though. It was
No.
yeah.
I wish.
Yeah, because when our school, fucking middle school, 8th grade, it's like 80s day. You could dress as a greaser or Soch or whatever. Because I remember.
I remember that. I don't remember ever. I don't
Yeah,
think I ever got to go to see the movie.
So I don't know if it was the same date, but it was there. People could willingly, if they wanted to, or just not go to watch Grease in the auditorium. You do that, I'm gonna have a good fucking time because the auditorium's huge, and I'm not breaking my goddamn neck to watch goddamn James Cameron fucking have blue feet like feet fuckers over there. No thanks. Like,
I can't believe that I wouldn't have chosen to go see it.
maybe
So
you were
I don't
sick that
know.
day.
Sick. Maybe I was an asshole and probably had detention or something. It's always possible. My teacher
I don't
probably
know.
was like, "Hey, fuck you! You're not going to see the movie. You're a dickhead. So you're gonna sit at your desk with your head down."
I think it'd be cool if they played a movie like Monster Squad or something
Yeah.
for like hey, we're gonna do this or something.
See, I definitely don't see. I wouldn't see schools doing it purely because of, at least around that age. Like, there's a surprising level of violence in this. It's not like it's super duper crazy graphic or anything, but schools are fucking pussies about that. So it's more
Right?
so just like demonstrated by other by the movies that people they chose to show us. Often they wouldn't show us something like this because like they wouldn't show it to us purely because of the scene that the werewolf gets blown up in.
There was the in high
Because the
school.
aftermath is bloody. There's blood. You can see some gore and stuff like
In
that
high
as he's
school, I've
attaching himself.
mentioned
So
before how my English class would put on like Mary Shelley's Frankenstein or something for a class
yeah,
project, or my science teacher for my senior year for chemistry would just put on films sometimes, and I'm like, hey, dude, I know this has fucking nothing to do with chemistry. It's like, yeah, it's a good grade if you pay attention. I'm like, hey, dude, I'm going to pay attention because I like watching movies, but like,
I
did
know
I
what you're
get a
doing.
B on my quiz or like what? Like,
Yeah, I watched some of the like really like great films because a teacher decided they didn't feel like teaching that day.
yeah.
Straight up. Because like in chemistry or biology, maybe. I can't remember which one. We watched Gattaca. Awesome fucking movie. We watched episodes of Supernatural. We
Fuck.
watched but like
You
in
just
history
spawned a
class.
memory in my head I forgot about actually. Is
Yeah.
one time in biology was my junior year. For a film they put on was is that fucking one with Uma Thurman about like genes or whatever and like genetics. I forget what it's called. And I at least said, "Hey, dude, fuck this. I don't like Uma Thurman." I stopped watching it.
Gattaca.
Is it Gattaca?
I think it's Ethan Hawke's in it.
I think you're right.
Gattaca.
Yeah, I didn't watch it. I don't like
You
Uma Thurman.
I know you don't like Uma Thurman, but you should rewatch that because that movie's awesome.
Oh yeah, no, fuck.
But
Thanks though.
history class, my history teacher just for freshman year just decided I didn't feel like teaching that day, so we watched things like Kingdom of Heaven, and we watched like Troy and Gladiator. All these things that had nothing to fucking do with what we were
I
doing.
started watching Troy this last year with my brother.
I don't remember it
We were
honestly.
we were at Connor's and we were just hanging out, working out, but Connor wasn't there, so we're like, well, why don't we order wings and watch a movie? And we both like, you want to watch Troy? And I was like, I was thinking the same thing. So as we were waiting for the wings to come, we watched Troy, and as the wings came, we ate it all. We're like, huh. Well, we got nothing else to do, so we stopped watching it. We haven't finished it since. We only got like 30, 40 minutes into it.
I don't blame you honestly.
It's so 2000s.
I just remember it being very dull, and it's not very accurate.
It can't be accurate though.
I know that's why I'm
Because
like,
fucking Achilles is the main character, and he's hardly in
yeah,
the book.
yeah. That's why I'm saying accurate.
Yeah,
It's not an adaptation of the story very well, but
it's that I would
that's
say
a
it's a story
weird, that's a
impossible
weird
to
fucking,
adaptate well though.
that's a weird fucking movie. Just because, oh, they've made good adaptations of those before.
Of Iliad though,
Yeah,
I don't understand how you can make a good adaptation of a movie of Iliad.
but I remember distinctly in my head the adaptation of the Odyssey. That's really good. Too.
Odyssey is easier, but you have two main
Yeah, of
characters
course.
that stick through, like have a through line that's constantly focused on.
Yeah,
The Iliad breaks to different characters, and Achilles doesn't come back to like the last 5 chapters.
I feel like
So
Iliad would be like you should make like a mini.
it would work as a small show, like a 10 episode show, because you
Yeah.
could start like Game of Thrones and focus on individual characters.
Yeah,
But Iliad doesn't function as a movie. I feel it's too complicated of a story.
definitely not a 2 hour film. Too short.
No,
Yeah, no, I just remember that movie being very dull.
it's got
Also
Eric
very,
Bana.
very CG heavy.
Yeah,
I mean, I love Eric Bana.
it's just funny because he doesn't fucking do anything. Everybody in that movie is so. Oh, this is so popular in the 2000s. Orlando Bloom is Paris. Fucking, goddamn, Boromir is playing
Sean Bean.
Odysseus. Sean Bean's playing Odysseus.
That's good casting though.
No, it is. A lot of these actors are great actors, except for Orlando Bloom. But like, it's just a very 2000s cast. Like if I said, "Oh, Angelina Jolie was paying this character," you'd be like, "Yep, that's 2004 or whatever."
Yep.
It's just funny.
Or also known as fucking Beowulf when she shows up CGI fucking Angelina Jolie.
Yeah. At that
That's
point,
a weird
her
fucking
career was
movie.
kind of dwindling down too.
That's a weird fucking way to do that movie.
That
It's
CGI was
this
so bad.
lifelike CGI or whatever, the motion capture CGI that just wasn't ready yet. But yeah, no.
Yeah, I like Monster Squad a lot though.
I wish they showed this movie. Like, I wish I saw this movie as a kid. I really did.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter either way because I still loved it. It's not like
Yeah, it's not like it just it would have a big impact if you were younger watching it.
yeah,
Like I would look at this the same fondness as I do like Karate Kid if I saw it when I was young. Because that's an 80s film I watched when I was younger and I felt like, wow, that really fucking speaks to me. I love this movie. If I had watched Monster Squad when I was 10, I'd be like, fuck, man, that's awesome. That's just me. I mean, I wouldn't have seen Vampire Circus then, but, you know.
I definitely wouldn't recognize a zombie poster. I'll tell you that much. I shouldn't. If I did, that'd be a problem. Although I'd be surprised if I didn't pass the VHS for something like Zombie in Age of Video back in the day.
I didn't. I'm not gonna lie. When it came to Age of Video, I rented like the same 4 things over and over again.
I remember the day that I went into Age of Video and rented this Super Mario Brothers movie.
I used to rent the 5-part Green
Never
with
forget
Evil from Power Rangers religiously. I'd go from each part and I'd rent it over and over and over again.
I bet.
And then if they didn't have that, I'd watch I'd literally rent Batman Forever and Batman and Robin like religiously. Shut up, bitch. No.
I like Batman Forever. I'll tell you that much.
When's the last time you saw Batman and Robin?
Probably a couple of years ago.
I think you should rewatch it. I think it's a lot more fun. People give it shit for. Like it being a bad movie or not, like it is just fucking fun. I don't understand like the dislike for it.
I don't know. I feel like it's one of those things where like as goofy and stupid as Forever was, it has a little bit of substance to it. Whereas like there's none for Batman and Robin from what I remember.
I don't agree. There's a lot. I think there's a lot of. It's way more goofy, so it makes it more enjoyable. But there's also the stuff with Alfred in it that's really good.
It's just a 2-hour toy commercial.
I still think there's a lot of fun to it though. Like the movie's just trying to be fun.
I mean, hey, what the fuck's Power Rangers?
Yeah, I mean, I look at it in the same vein where it's like it's just flashy bullshit thrown together. But like, if you're having fun and you just don't care, like, who gives a shit?
I remember distinctly being very irritated by like the visual design of that movie.
I like some of the visual distinctions in the film, especially during some of the layers are cool, but I like the Gotham at night a lot.
Yeah, one thing
most
I'll say,
of it's just glow in the dark shit, but I just think it looks cool.
I really like the their like rescore, like the new score that for the Schumacher movies.
Yeah,
for the Batman theme, I really like it. It's just pretty tight. I'm not gonna lie.
Monster Squad.
I mean, we're pretty much all over the place with this. It's just like it's one of those movies where like it's just like shotgun blasting the enjoyment.
It's just like the movie though; it's all over the place. You know?
It's all over the place, and I love it. I love every second of it.
It's just chaotic. It's fun. It's just full of fucking 80s one-liners. All the characters are just lighthearted goofballs that are just trying to have a blast, and you're having a blast along with it.
Yeah, it's just so goofy. It's just like I would feel bad trying to be like objective about this movie because it's just like I had too much fun.
Yeah,
like I don't want to give it.
It's hard to look at it objectively.
An objective score. Like you could give it an objective score. I just don't want to. Yeah, like I really don't.
I think it's just hard. It's hard to look at it objectively though because like
it's accomplishing exactly what it sets out to do.
Yeah, like it's just trying to have a good time and have heart, and then just give you an enjoyable movie experience.
Would I give this a 10 out of 10? No.
Why?
Okay, you got me there.
Yeah.
But like, I would not. When I texted you last night, because I told you, I'm like, man, I'm riding high on this movie. Like, I might give this a fucking high score.
I'm gonna give it a high score.
That hasn't changed.
Yeah.
It's and like I know,
it's just fun. Like
if I looked at it from a perspective like quality wise, I could ding it quite a bit, but I don't want to. So
scene transitions don't make sense. Time of day doesn't make sense. Things just happen. There's no explanation. Like there's a lot.
It's our show. We can do whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of shit that doesn't make sense, but at the same time, I don't give a fuck, and I'm just having a good time. The movie's awesome.
again, like, yeah, it's not like the smartest movie in the world, but who fucking cares? It's doing, again, like, it's doing exactly what it wants to do. It's
And
trying to be entertaining.
you watch a movie for an enjoyment. Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter how objectively good a film is or how well crafted it is if you walk out of there and say, that was a really well done shot. Too bad it's fucking stupid and I don't want to watch this again.
That's kind of the thing is like I've talked to people a lot online about objectivity and subjectivity of movies and how like well they're like well there's technical things that could be objectively good about it.
Yeah.
So like it could have objectively good cinematography, it could have objectively good editing or whatever. It's like cool. You can have a really well made film that has zero
Heart.
heart, emotion, humanity to it, and at that point, it's a really good looking dull movie.
Yeah.
So like really what was the point? Because to me, one of the most important things about movies is how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
Because it's art.
It's like looking at an old 1950s antique house that's got a lot of soul and wear into it, but you know someone had a lot of fun versus a sterile fucking same as every other fucking 2020 New York apartment where they all look the same and it's the exact same shit everywhere. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it could objectively look great, but there's nothing to it. There's no soul. There's no character. But you look at that old 1950s house and you're like, yeah, I mean, it shows some wear, but you know, I know whoever lives here had a good time and like they loved
Yeah.
this house, and I might take that and say I'm gonna have a good time here too.
Yeah. That's the thing. If a movie doesn't make you feel anything, really, what was the point?
Yeah.
At the end of the day. And there's different forms of enjoyment because like there's movies that are unpleasant to watch that I could still say I like this because it's doing exactly what it's intended
Yeah,
to
Hollow
do.
Man.
Hollow Man, Last House on the Left, Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah.
You know, there's plenty, especially in the horror genre. I could rattle off a shit ton of them
Yeah.
that are like that.
Even so, in the horror genre, there's plenty of films that aren't trying to be fucking the next One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, but it's still a fun romp, having a good time. Or
Exactly.
look at Return of the Living Dead. It's not
Yeah,
trying to be super sophisticated, but that film's so fucking fun.
it's so good. It's so fucking good. I love that goddamn movie. But
Like,
yeah, no,
like you said,
exactly.
it's not an objective 10 out of 10, but like if someone said like I love this movie and like it's a masterpiece to me because I have so much heart into it and it just means a lot, I wouldn't say they're wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I'm tired of just trying to give things objective scores because it's just not like if you have to sit there and when you're reviewing something and you have to be like, what you sit there and be like, I have to find something I don't like, so I don't give it a 10 out of 10
Yeah. If you
because I
want to
had
get
a blast with it.
if
It's
you
just
want to
like
get an objective score, go talk to a fucking computer, loser. Like
it's boring. It's just
you're coming to
and
listen to people about their own personal biases and the heart that they got out of a film. Like, I'm not going to give you an objective score. I'm going to give you the way I reflected on this film.
yeah, and like to me again, like I said, like the most important thing about movies is the way you react to them and how it connects to you. That is an inherently subjective thing.
Yes.
So an objective score to me is almost meaningless in that regard. Again, scores in general, I think, are meaningless. They're arbitrary. It really doesn't matter. It's just assigning a number to something. But I just, like it's less fun when you have to just be like, I gotta find something to bitch about so I can be objective. Just like, why? Just don't be negative. What's the point? That doesn't mean don't talk about flaws. It just means if you have to go looking for them really hard because you enjoyed the hell out of a movie, is it worth it? Is it really worth it? No, it's not.
Well,
My opinion, at least.
With that being said, out of 5, what would you rate this very
4.5.
non-specific creature feature?
4.5.
I was gonna say 4.5.
I won't go as far as to give it a 5, but I will for the little quibbles and nitpicks. But I definitely think, especially from an enjoyment factor, I just had an absolute blast watching this movie. And I honestly, like, when I finished it, I'm like, I could totally watch this again right now.
Yeah, for sure.
I could reset, especially because it's short.
Maybe not for sure for me. I finished it at like 12:30.
Oh yeah, I watched it as soon as I got home from work.
Yeah.
So I could have rewatched that movie. I definitely am looking forward to. I will rewatch this.
Yeah.
Especially in October. I'll show this to my girlfriend and my roommates. Show that because I know that I don't think any of them have seen it. I think we're all gonna have a really good time with it. It's one of those movies like you can recommend this to anybody. Honestly, they don't have to be Universal Monster Movies fan. Although that's nice. I think about just about anybody.
I think most of my friends would enjoy it. But I
I
don't.
just think
I can think of at least a few people would be like, "Fuck you, dude. Why'd you waste my time?"
I can't think of just because I feel like there's a little something in here for everybody. But I mean, who knows? I could probably find some really boring, cynical motherfucker who just won't enjoy something that's fun.
Yeah.
But I just feel like somebody will at least have a good time. The characters are fun. It's well directed for the most part. It's just a fun adventure movie to go through. And it's short. It's brisk. It's very easy to watch. Doesn't ask much of you.
Well, with that being said, how would you rate the entire go through of our movies we picked since episode 3 to now 10?
Rank each movie, or
No,
you
no,
mean
no.
like
Just like how would you say like how would you like the experience of jumping through different decades of different films, getting different quality of film, obviously, and then ending off on Monster Squad? How was the journey?
I kind of went into it when we were talking about Wolfman, about how like it's really fun to look at how different each interpretation of these same monsters are,
Yeah,
and how like different the styles of filmmaking have changed over the years. Because we started with
Dracula.
Dracula,
Yeah.
and that was not fun at all. A little extra, if you know what I mean. We went through to classic or more classic films like The Mummy, which I wasn't wild about, but the sensibilities, it's really interesting to look at that in contrast to something especially like how just over the top and ridiculous the filmmaking techniques in like Dracula are, and even some of the eccentricities that they show in Wolfman, how it's just cinema has changed, or horror cinema has changed over the decades. Yet we're still coming back to the well on the same characters. I mean, last year we just had another Invisible Man movie. We're about to have another Wolfman movie. We're about to have another fucking Dracula movie. I think they just announced another. Like I think is there a Frankenstein movie coming now too? Like we're going back to these monsters all these years later, and it seems like we're just gonna continue getting different versions of these characters forever, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really happy we went through a large majority of decades. We did the 30s, we did the 50s. We did late 50s, we did 90s, we did
80s. No.
late 90s, early 2000s, 2010. We went
Yeah.
through a lot and we saw a different variety with a lot of these films. And, maybe not being big on the mummies one thing, but you see the difference of filmmaking quality when you go from that to something like Curse of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And then you go from something like that to like Hollow Man. You see how much these characters try to stay similar, but act on what's happening at the time, even though everything around it can be completely different.
And also the advent of this was that we both also got some new experiences out of this. Things that maybe I wouldn't have seen, maybe you wouldn't have seen for a while either.
Yeah.
If we didn't do this, who knows when you would have watched Wolfman? Who knows
I'd say
when either of us would have watched Hollow Man, honestly.
I'd be more likely to watch Wolfman than Hollow Man. I think Hollow Man was one that, if we didn't do this, I wouldn't see it for quite a while.
Yeah, I don't know if I mean, like, I had wanted to see it already, but
yeah,
this gave me an excuse to do it sooner.
Yeah, these are all films I've wanted to see, but, there's a difference between wanting to see something and pulling the trigger. There's a lot of films I want to see, but they're on a list that I have, and I haven't checked it off yet.
Yeah.
But having this around where we can just talk to each other, talk to a viewer, and say, "Cool, I'm gonna sit down, enjoy this, and see how it goes."
It's really fun going through these and seeing the different tones that we've gone through, like 90s super extra, and you go to like the 80s with this, and it's just like it's super fun and entertaining. You get like the 2000s, which is like super focused on being like hip and
edgy.
Sleek and edgy and all that stuff, and 2010s where they're almost trying to marry the higher tech, bigger bombast of recent films with a classical sensibility, which I found very fascinating with that movie. But when you go through all these different versions and you end it on something like this, it does feel like an event.
It feels poignant too.
Yeah, because it's like this is the journey that, at least in that year, this is where these characters made it to.
There's, like I said, there's only like 3 or 4 films we could have done to end it on. We could have ended on like House of Frankenstein, House of Dracula, could have ended on Monster Squad or Van Helsing. And I figured no film would represent how much fun you can have watching these films as well as Monster Squad.
Yeah, it's a celebration of
really,
these characters.
There's no better way to say it than this film is a celebration.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be a good way to cap it off and say, hey, we had fun, and this film's going to showcase how much fun it really could have been and really should have been. And, here we are.
What the question is what's next
I don't
for
know,
these
and you don't know.
characters? No, for these characters.
Oh,
Just like we're in this kind of renaissance now. Oh,
still,
hopefully
I
renaissance.
would still even say I don't know. Like these characters live to go on from decade to decade, but they still have to reflect their decade. And you have to ask yourself, when it comes to a character like Wolfman, when it's man versus nature, how are you gonna sensibly have that in this decade of 2020? And we're gonna have to find out what the director has in store. And I don't know what most people are gonna do, but that's why I'm excited. There's nothing better than having classic characters tell
through new lenses.
Yeah, classic characters through new lenses, and to discover what this character can mean with a new point of view.
Yeah, and I think that if Invisible Man is anything to go by, I think the future's bright. I think we have there was a period of time where it felt pretty dark as far as our outlook on these characters, especially around 2017, where we thought that this was going to go a very very specific direction where they were going to really try to make these characters Avengers characters. But I like the fact that we're going back to isolated stories that we're just focusing on making good movies. Because that's the most important thing.
Besides obviously us having this conversation during the film Monster Squad, but most of these characters just benefit better from being singular stories.
Yeah.
One by one. And then after you get it for a while, you can have your big event film, but it has to be done in a certain way.
Yeah, I mean, even if you look at this movie specifically, it's like this, it has all the monsters in it, but they're used as an avenue for adventure. And they aren't like super duper, like, they're not really the focus so much as they're the source of contention during the adventure. And I think that was the right play, especially in the 80s. I don't know where this road's going to lead as far as these Universal Monsters movies are concerned. I'm just excited that they seem to be trying for quality right now.
I hope it's a road that gets more people in and gets more investment, so we can have more people kind of hop to their closest Best Buy or go on Amazon and say, how much is the Dracula Blu-ray from the film in 1931? I hope it's another way to get people invested in these older films and say, well, I saw this and I like this, so let's check out the classics, because that's what it's all for, and get more investment, get more fans, get more friends. I think that's what we're going to have to end it on. I've had a great time discussing this, even though my brain is rotting as we speak. I love this movie. I loved having a conversation about it. I loved experiencing it. And I hope we can continue this mindset and this mood for the next few films we go on to. We've got a few things planned coming up. Maybe the next immediate film or so is not as planned, but there is some plans coming up. And I'm excited for that, and I'm excited for you to join us.
I love some of the ideas for themes we have coming.
Yeah, me too.
I'm really excited to do some of them. It's just deciding when they're going to happen.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you had a great time hearing about the film, experiencing it with us, and I hope you can come back for the next one, have just as good of a time. Thank you again. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.